Redskins. This is Nathan Schulte.
I am Dirk Umpenhauer.
And I'm Isaac Logan.
And we're very excited to be here on this special edition of Vikings Rant. And by special, we mean simply in the fact that we are here. There is nothing special truly happening today.
We are literally doing nothing but talking about our favorite football team getting yet another victory.
Except for that will be very exciting, so you should continue to listen. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to Vikings Rant. We're very excited for you to be here today, and we have lots of hot topics to talk about. Dirk, what are these topics?
So hot. These topics are how hot our offense was, how hot our wide receiving core was catching the football, and how cold our defense was on Sunday.
And also how hot the referee's calls made us feel. Hot as in anger. We were very mad. Yes, plenty to talk about after that win against the Washington Redskins. And a big week for the Vikings fans as Mike Zimmer had to make yet another quarterback decision, as he will continue to have to do every day going forward until Teddy Bridgewater's named the starter.
Or Kyle Slaughter.
No, Dirk, just no. Kyle Slaughter is in many ways like Case Keenum in that he was an undrafted free agent after he was passed upon by all teams in the draft, but now we got him, and he's on our team, and we're very excited about that, though hopefully he never does get to see the field.
Yes, I hope that very much.
All right, well, Dirk, 38-30 was the score of at the end of the game for the Vikings. It was a victory against the Redskins, but in many ways it did not feel like a victory because, well, to be frank, we almost blew it.
We did almost blow it. I mean, we got up 35-17 beginning of just a few minutes into that second half there, and we were all celebrating. We were going crazy. We were blowing out Washington, and then Case Keenum decided to, let's say, throw a couple dumb throws. And
those were Mike Zimmer's exact words when asked to describe what Case Keenum had done in that game. He did throw very bad throws that let the Washington Redskins back in the game. Dirk, we were up 35 to, what was it, 16, 17?
35-17, yeah.
We were up 35-17, and I think there were still 10 minutes left in the third quarter. I mean, I don't know about you, but I was like, wow, the Vikings are going to score 40 points for the first time in the Mike Zimmer era. Well, we were wrong about that.
Well, we were very, very, very wrong about that. We went from, wow, can we score 40 to, wow, will we even win this game? Because for the first three quarters, we saw the best Case Keenum I think that we have seen this entire season, maybe with the exception of Tampa Bay. He was making all the right throws. He was perfectly placing those footballs. A couple to Adam Thielen, the one big one early to Stephon Diggs. He hit Kyle Rudolph a couple times. He had a great rollout pass to Diggs in the end zone. He was commanding the game. He was playing like a man who did not want to lose his starting quarterback job. And then the fourth quarter happened.
Yeah, the fourth quarter was bad. Did he throw both the picks in the fourth quarter?
He did.
I wasn't keeping track of the quarter. I just remember the picks.
Wait a minute. He threw the third quarter. He threw one in the third quarter with a minute to go. That was kind of I'm just going to throw this ball downfield and see what happens. And then first play of this fourth quarter was when he threw the interception to Kyle Rudolph that any other person could have been able to see.
Yeah, that was really, really quite bad. We could talk about the offense in the first half, though, because what a game were they having, Dirk. Running game was going. The passing game was really going. And this is the benefit we have when Stephon Diggs is back and healthy. He can help us stretch the field because he's such a vertical threat that he also alleviates the receiver who had the biggest day, Adam Thielen.
Yes, Adam Thielen, about 8 catches, 166 yards, and a touchdown. I predicted 2 touchdowns on my bold prediction. I just want to say that. I was nearly correct. But anyway, Thielen caught a couple nice deep balls. He caught that touchdown. Beautiful placement by Case Keenum and way to extend his arms out there and get that. And he also had a nice catch and run on a slant route on a big third down play early. And Nathan, that's what I would say was the difference with this offense this game. We were converting third downs a lot more, and when we got into the red zone, we scored touchdowns, not field goals.
And we scored a total of 5 touchdowns on the day, and I think we were 5 for 5 in the red zone. So that was exciting. Case Keenum again throwing for 4, which was I think a career high, or at least tying a career high for him. And he threw them to 4 different receivers. And before we go on, I do have to rescind and say my apology for my prediction last week that we would lose. I was wrong. And I have to say, I was excited about it because I thought we would lose this game. This was a game that I had pegged for us losing and going 12-4. So now, with that being said, we're now going to go 13-3.
Yes, hopefully you are correct, Nathan, as you were not correct last week. But while our offense is continuing to shine, we're getting Mike Remmers back in practice this week, but that offensive line, great play again. Latavius Murray had literally 68 yards and a touchdown. McKinnon 32 yards. We ran over for exactly 100 yards again.
And Jerick McKinnon did not have a great day. A lot of negative yardage plays for him.
And that's because Latavius was doing all the prep.
Well, yeah, but every time Jerick got in, it didn't seem like he had the same spark against the Redskins, which, is okay because we can't expect him to shine every game. He's just not that type of player. He's not the Dalvin Cook type player who every game, he's going to have at least one big play, and it's going to be huge. You can expect a few big plays from Dirk McKinnon every once in a while, but it's not going to be every play, which is why it's good that we have an actual running back that complements him this year in Latavius Murray, unlike Matt Asiata, who really couldn't do much.
Really couldn't do much at all last year besides running on third and short. But we have two good backs. We traded one back who was really, really good at everything for two backs that are good at separate things. McKinnon's more of the speedster guy, races you to the outside. Murray more of the power back, fights for the...
Who can't juke to save his life unless he's going to fall down.
Yeah, he can't stay on his feet at all, but that's another story. So...
And, just to put into perspective of how big of an improvement Latavius Murray is over Matt Asiata, Latavius Murray, when he gets in the end zone, he actually gets in the end zone, unlike Matt Asiata, who repeatedly, on 1st and 1 on the goal line, would get stopped over and over and over again. I mean, we just saw that huge Hawaiian just run into the line and then just hit right back out every time, and they just kept running it. Also might help that we have a little bit better of a fullback this year in C.J. Ham.
It's almost like a Hawaiian pineapple fell from the trees and hit our coaching staff on the head, and we decided to finally go bring in Latavius Murray and run it with him and get rid of Matt Asiata.
Yes, thank God, and that is why the Vikings are much improved, one of many reasons. This year, as we are already 7-2, and we are one win away from tying our record of last year.
We are, and we are going. It's like 2015 all over again. I read we're 7-2 going into a very important game in Week 11, and if we're going to win this game against the Rams, our defense has to play much better than it did on Sunday.
And Dirk, can you tell us what happened last time we went 7-2?
We made the playoffs. We won the division. And Blair Walsh did something called missing a 26
we don't need to talk about that. That's just depressing. Yeah, so the offense altogether much improved this year, a highest scoring game of the year, so that was big. Part of the reason, Mackenzie Alexander, first career interception in right towards the end of the first half. That was huge. Set us up for another touchdown to put us up 28-17. Eventually to go up 35-17.
That was the key moment of the game, Nathan. We are up 4 at that point. Our defense isn't playing great. Kirk Cousins overthrows his receiver, goes right into the arms of Mackenzie Alexander. We get another touchdown on a beautiful play-action pass to a wide-open David Morgan. And then we come out and score another touchdown to get an 18-point lead. That was the biggest play of the game.
It was huge. And, well, almost as big as the Case Keenum almost pick 6 would have been if the game was not so already out of hand by the time that he had thrown that.
I would not say that was a pick 6, though, remember. He got out of bounds in the 2.
Basically a pick 6. It was really, really close. All right, so you talked about the defense being cold against the Redskins, and in many ways it truly was. I mean, 30 points is not something we often see given up against our Vikings. I mean, we were almost looking like the deteriorated Denver Broncos out there.
Yeah, that's how bad it was. We gave up 394 total yards as a team, Nathan, and a lot of it, I'd have to say, we couldn't get to Cousins all day long, and he was beating us with those short throws because he had time. Why did he have time? In part because his whole offensive line was back, but also because Everson Griffin was a shocking scratch from that football game. We couldn't get a pass rush until late when Danielle Hunter had a sack, but Danielle was also battling a cold all day. We just couldn't get to their quarterback.
And for those of you who do not know, the Redskins are actually considered to have one of the best lines in the NFL. They just haven't been healthy this year. So what they did on Sunday was actually what could be expected now that their offensive line is back and healthy. And what we probably could perceive seeing from now on forward for the Washington Redskins. I do believe that they're going to win quite a few more games this season. They've had a tough schedule so far. I think they'll probably finish with a winning record, if not a tying record.
Yeah, but even with the struggles of our defense, it did come up big when we needed it. Brian Robinson batting down that ball on fourth down, and Tom Johnson, what a way just to get in there and stuff the run late in the fourth quarter.
And you know who also had a lot of big plays in that game was Andrew Sendejo, literally ripping the balls out of receivers' hands in the end zone. He did it at least twice. And that was huge. Those were touchdowns that were prevented by Andrew Sendejo, who is actually on the injury report for a groin this week.
Yeah, that's weird. He might have actually torn his balls.
Oh, good one. I see what you did there. Ha ha!
I'm here for the comedic effect and the football stats.
Okay.
And to be with friends.
And to color commentate.
Yes, I color commentate basketball games that
that I will not color commentate the podcast.
Oh, I color commentate the podcast.
Yeah. Yes, okay. So yeah, big day for the Vikings defense, and the fact that it wasn't a big day for the Vikings defense. But Mike Zimmer's defense, as many people have noted throughout all of football mania, they have a tendency to give up a few games, and we gave up one here, and I'm glad it was a win because our offense was finally able to pick up when our defense kind of fell apart. So hopefully they get it rolling, they get their emotional leader back in Everson Griffin this week, and that will be huge.
Yes, and while we didn't have many nice things to say about this defense, we know somebody who does.
And now it's time for Nice Words with Isaac.
Well, Dirk, you're right. I have nice words today, as I do every single week. So this week, there's nice words to go around. The Vikings having a great year, and it's fun to be in a segment where in some years it may be hard to find nice things, and this year it's not. So I had a lot of things to look through, but I decided that for my nice words segment, I'm dedicating these words to Adam Thielen. I think Adam Thielen may be the most impressive performer on the team this year. Not necessarily in overall importance to the team, but performance versus their expectations or what they're perceived to have. Adam Thielen still is not famous in the NFL. I mean, he's definitely gaining that case that he's one of the top receivers in the NFL. But he's still not known as a household name. I mean, Antonio Brown is a household name, deservedly so. But Jordy Nelson is a household name, and Adam Thielen is way outplaying Jordy Nelson this year. Granted, Jordy Nelson is screwed because of the Packers' quarterback situation, but I'm just saying, Adam Thielen is outperforming what people saw his ability to be, and I'm very impressed. Adam Thielen is going off on a weekly basis. This week, 8 catches, 166 yards. That's a 20-yard average per catch, which is dang impressive. I got to give it to him. I think I had 3 massive plays. He had, 49 and 237s, or 47 and 239s. He's getting that downfield ability to make big-time plays, to beat the Josh Normans. He just totally knocked Josh Normans out of his socks. Very impressive. And I have to say, I love his story more than any other in the NFL. I think today in the NFL, we just get so caught up in just these players who think they're so good and they're kind of fun to watch, but you don't have those cool stories of someone who just has a great up-and-coming experience. And Adam Thielen has that. I mean, he's from Minnesota, Detroit Lakes native. He took his team to the section championship in Minnesota high school football, which is so cool to me because I actually can relate to that, being, I've played a little football in Minnesota in high school back in my day, and that's pretty cool. He goes from there to Minnesota State Mankato, where he has a fantastic career, but he doesn't get enough notoriety or enough notice to go drafted, so he goes undrafted, gets signed by the Vikings out of some little, I can't remember what it's called, but it was a tryout or something, and they liked him enough that he signed him, goes practice squad, and a few years later, boom, here he is, a top 3 receiver in the NFL in receiving yards. And for that, Adam Thielen, I'm amazed, and I hope you have a fantastic career for years to come. Thanks for being a part of the Minnesota Vikings and being a great homegrown Minnesotan.
Yeah, Adam Thielen is truly a testament to what hard work can do. He worked hard. He worked hard at developing his routes, which is why he's pretty much the best route runner in the NFL. That's how he's gotten to be third in receiving yards this year.
He has to be the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL.
Oh,
and I
for
don't
sure.
want to hear crap about Jordy Nelson. He sucks now.
And Adam Thielen is genuinely humble. And I feel like a lot of times in the NFL, there's people that see, like, they want to seem humble, but, they really are.
You're
are full
Aaron
of themselves.
Rodgers of the world.
Aaron Rodgers. So cocky.
Yeah.
But Adam Thielen
What a dick.
Adam Thielen lives for his team, and that's so cool.
Rodgers.
Yes, Dirk, sure. He's not great. And it's truly great to have a receiver on the Vikings who's up there. I mean, any offensive player who's doing so well in a stat category at this point of the season, this is truly when stats start to mean something. And he's getting close to breaking that 800-yard mark,
Yeah.
and he will undoubtedly be a 1,000-yard receiver.
And speaking of stats, Pro Bowl voting has opened up this week. Go vote for Adam Thielen.
And there's the thing, he won't get it, and he absolutely should. I mean, he might get it.
That's
I hope
false.
he
There's
does.
actually
That's
a very
false.
good chance. I think
Yeah.
he is.
I voted for Adam Thielen 5 times today.
Oh, good.
I
good.
voted for every Viking player 5 times today.
I have to say,
No
though,
filter.
I even voted for Ryan Quigley.
Even though he's been playing not great.
but it's odd that in most other years, Stephon Diggs would be a great conversation as a receiver on our team. I mean, he's having a good year. He's, 500 yards?
Yeah, 500
5
yards,
touchdowns?
5 touchdowns.
That's a good year. And yet Adam Thielen has totally just become the talk of the town.
And
of the
the
Vikings.
sad part about Diggs is after that injury, he's going to be hard pressed to hit 1,000 yards, which
Yeah.
will be the second season in a row. He's come this close. But it's big that we have 2 receivers that are getting close. Adam Thielen, I think, should be well over 1,000. And barring Diggs having big games, which is still possible, we have 7 games left to go. If he has some big games, he could still hit 1,000. So
Yeah.
we're having some big years for receivers. And if our quarterback play continues to be good, which it probably will be, and if it isn't, then we have other options. And
Who would that be, Nathan?
Who would that be?
Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, so hopefully our quarterback play continues to be good and those receiving yards continue to happen. All right, time for a new segment on this show. That was a bad play with Nathan. Yes, everybody, that's me, Nathan, and I am very excited to introduce this segment called That Was a Bad Play with Nathan. All right, plenty of bad plays to talk about. How about the time that Eric Kendricks tried to turn around and almost fall over? That was pretty bad, and he let that receiver go. How about the time that Josh Norman completely gave up coverage and missed Stephon Diggs deep? Of course, Josh Norman being slow and old, not really that surprising. But the truly awful and bad play of this week was a throw by Case Keenum that literally put them right back in the game and almost handed them the chance to win the game. A game the Vikings clearly should have won, scoring 38 points. And when our offense can throw 38 points against a team that should be easily stopped by our defense, that should be a clear victory. But this throw put this team right back into the game. Basically a pick six. Case Keenum sees Kyle Rudolph running off to the right sideline. Case Keenum says, he'll be open. This will be a short route. We'll keep that clock ticking. Case Keenum doesn't check at all. Doesn't look if anybody's in coverage. He just throws the ball. And there is Swearinger right there. Picks it off and runs it back almost for a touchdown. Case Keenum thankfully ran him down and stopped it. But that play can essentially amount to a pick six as 3 plays later, Kirk Cousins ran it in for a touchdown. And we really can't blame the defense on that because at a certain point, how many goal line stands can they have in a game? I mean, they already had like 3 in that game, which were impressive and held them to field goals, and that's what kept us in the game. But Case Keenum screwed the pooch on that one. It's why there was still a debate at quarterback this week. You throw 4 touchdowns and no picks, you're going to have a pretty much guaranteed chance of starting, but 4 touchdowns and 2 awful picks that throw the team right back into the game, that was a horrible play. All right, thank you for listening to my rant about horrible plays. We'll be back next week for another rant.
Nathan, I could not agree with you more. That was one of the most awful plays of the evening. They even teach quarterbacks in 8th grade not to throw that football. I didn't think Case Keenum was an 8th grader.
Wow, Dirk, good point. I should have said that. That was really quite clever. All right, so lots to talk about, and as we wrap up the Vikings Rams game, kind of seal it up in a little tight pack. Vikings Redskins game. Sealed up in a tight package. Any takeaways, you guys, before we move on to our next big game?
One thing that I had that I think is kind of fascinating with our fandom of the Vikings as a whole, not us three specifically, but just the entirety of the fans, is how we view our quarterbacks. And I think it's really interesting because it's amazing how much our fan base rallies around a guy when they play well. Even to the point that people probably rallied around Christian Ponder when he had 4 great games at the end of one season.
Oh, I never rallied around Christian Ponder at all.
Well, I think some people were excited. But what I'm saying is people at this point have, maybe I'm speaking out of line and this isn't totally true for everyone, but it seems like people have forgotten about Sam Bradford, who was our day one starter on the year. A great player who a lot of people were excited about. And that's why I'm so intrigued and why I think it's interesting, this thing with Case Keenum and Teddy Bridgewater. We won't talk about it too much, but Teddy Bridgewater was looking good for a couple of years, and I love Teddy Bridgewater. Everyone rallies around him, and it just fascinated me because Case Keenum's playing well, and we'll see if he plays well for, let's say, if he plays like he did last week without the picks for the next 2-3 weeks. Will the fans of the Vikings be saying he's the quarterback of the future? I don't know, but it may happen.
Hard to imagine given how many awful years he's had in the past, though those could have been due to coaching. So I guess we'll continue to find out as we face tougher teams in the future if Case Keenum continue to win games. Though, to speak to your point quick, Isaac, I feel like people are justified in forgetting about Sam Bradford as he is now on IR for the rest of the season and cannot play.
For sure. It's interesting to me how quickly we switch.
Well, we have to around here with
That
the quarterback
true.
turnover. We're almost worse than the Browns.
Nobody is worse than the Browns. I would like to say one thing also about our fan base. What a great showing by our fans in Washington. We were doing skull chants. We were doing skull chants in their stadiums. That is the ultimate takeover, and that was the moment where I knew we had this game locked up.
That was the ultimate, man, just a punch to the gut right there. All right, time to wrap up the Vikings Redskins into a little tiny ball. The good and the bad, we're throwing it right out the window. And moving on to Vikings Rams. For Case Keenum, this is a game against his former team, who he would love to destroy. Case Keenum again being named the starter this week over Teddy Bridgewater. What are we looking for in this game, fellas?
I'm looking to see just how overrated the Rams actually are. I mean, come on. They have a good enough offense, and here's my take on the Rams. They've lost to Washington at home. They've lost to Seattle at home. They beat Jacksonville because of a couple good fluke special teams plays. And the only teams they've blown out have been bad teams, like the Texans without Deshaun Watson, the New York Giants, yada, yada, yada. Here's my take, then. I think the Rams are definitely a threat. I think this is definitely game of the year. But if anyone thinks the Rams are going to come in here and just stomp on us, that is the most wrong thinking you could have.
When you say game of the year, are you saying game of the year for the Vikings or of the NFL?
So far in the NFL, the game of the season.
That's
this
a
is
bold
two
call.
huge number one division opponents, though. I think many would argue the Eagles-Rams game is bigger, as everybody in the media seems to think right now that the Rams are so much better than us.
And that's my Vikings rant today, Nathan, is that the media hates us. Literally hates us. We saw more talking today when we were down in our local weight room about Aaron Rodgers than about the Vikings, the ones that are actually playing football right now. It always seems to be, you said you watched First Take the other day, can the Rams or the Saints beat the Eagles? And no mention of the Minnesota Vikings at all,
well,
who are also
you can see them.
7-2.
They don't have a quarterback, so how could they win? That is an argument I've actually heard people use.
Oh my gosh, they're on a 5-game winning streak without a quarterback. They must lose.
I don't really get it because the Vikings are historically a losing team, and so why would you not root for the underdog? But apparently we are just something about the way our team is crafted. It's just not appealing to the national media.
Nobody likes defense, Nathan, and that's why we're not appealing.
Well, we'll show them later in the season.
Except for us, we like defense.
Oh, we love it. Now the Rams, they have continually been destroying teams week in and week out. Here I give you the question. Are they actually destroying teams, or do the Rams simply not understand the definition of slowing it down and going into pre-event to make sure nothing big happens? They just are full throttle the whole game.
I think the Rams are crushing teams. I think the Rams actually are playing well. And while I am on the Vikings. I got to give the Rams credit. I think they're definitely putting on a great year. And that's another thing that this week is so exciting for me because I think this week is a showcase of the new NFL where tides are changing and different teams are showing up. It's refreshing that we can have a Vikings-Rams game that literally last year no one thought would mean anything, where I think two really good teams are going to duke it out and have a great matchup. And so, yes, I think the Rams are playing very well and actually crushing people. And I think they're going to bring a strong force to the U.S. Bank Stadium on Sunday. But they're also afraid of us. And that's kind of interesting and exciting.
And as well they should be. They're coming to, as Paul Allen refers to it, the House of Pain. This is the U.S. Bank Stadium, as we've seen firsthand, is a building simply where our defense comes to play week in and week out. They rarely drop a game at U.S. Bank, and it is impressive. And I think that they're going to have a good game against these Rams.
I think we also, on the outside, I think we match up fairly well with their wide receivers. Xavier Rhodes can cover either Sammy Watkins or Robert Woods, both of which are having very good seasons. And I think Waynes can cover that second receiver well, too. The question will be, how good is Jared Goff, and can they get the running game going with Todd Gurley? If they can get the running game going, they're going to do very well in the pass, and I think they could beat us. If they don't get the running game going, I think Jared Goff has improved a lot, but I do not think Jared Goff is at the level yet where he can win a game by himself without Todd Gurley.
Yes, and Vikings have been very good at shutting down the run this year, so it will be a very good test to see if they can stop what is a very good running back.
Yeah, and that'll start up front with big man Linval Joseph.
Yes.
And Anthony Barr being able to stop, Anthony Barr and Eric Kendricks both being able to stop those outside runs. If they can do that and Linval can do what he does up front, we should have a good game. And I think our defense is built to take on an offense like the Rams because they are built on speed in the secondary. Both Trey Waynes and Xavier Rhodes are extremely fast and good at keeping up with receivers.
And they're set up for a big showing this week for two reasons. One, Everson Griffin coming back. That's a big deal for the defense, I think. He is a vocal leader, and he is just a big, big part of the defense, obviously. So that's exciting to have him back. And second, coming off of a not-so-hot performance, they want to prove that, yes, they are a top defense in the NFL, and not that they're simmering out like they did last year when they kind of just dropped the ball the last half of the year.
Yes, and that is very true. And I think the defense also wants to prove that they are still good after that Rams game.
And
as you said.
And when we are on offense, I mean, they have some very nice players. They have Michael Brockers, Aaron Donald up front as a beast.
A lot of first-round picks.
Tremaine Johnson, a lot of first-round picks. But I think in the secondary, I don't see them being that good of a secondary outside of Tremaine Johnson. And there is a question mark as LaMarcus Joyner has not practiced today and might not practice. We haven't gotten the Rams Thursday injury report, but that would be a key loss for them at the safety position. And we have two of the best receivers in the NFL and a good tight end.
Could be another big day for Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs, and hopefully we get our run game going once again.
We blocked Gerald McCoy before. I think we can block Aaron Donald, but it's going to be tough.
It is going to be tough.
He is a force.
Force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I think one more key to this game, turnovers. We need to win the turnover battle.
Yep.
Jared Goff is still a young quarterback. He's going to make mistakes. And granted, Sean McVay, I think, has taken an active interest in making sure that he is constantly calling audibles for Jared Goff. Might be a little harder to do, a little harder to hear in the very loud U.S. Bank Stadium. And I think if we play our cards right and get it really loud on third down, Jared Goff will be subject to making quite a few mistakes.
I think so. So as well, Nathan, if we can get Goff to make a mistake or so early, get him to, not feel comfortable. We don't want him to feel comfortable there in the House of Pain. We want him to feel pain that he's on the field, but he's not walking off on a cart.
Yeah, and maybe this is our first pick six of the season.
Oh, Nathan, you're waiting for that every single week.
I don't know. Maybe a Trey Waynes pick six for his third interception of the year. I think third.
That's your bold prediction?
No. We'll get to that later.
Okay.
All right, so here's my question before we move on to bold predictions and predictions of the week. Is the Rams game and the following Lions game must-wins for the Vikings?
Lions, yes. Rams, no. I think we have a tough 5-game stretch. I think dropping 1 or 2 even is not going to hurt. I think the Lions is a must win, however, because it's at their building, it's Thanksgiving, and we have so many tiebreakers set up to win the division at that point. Mm-hmm. I'd rather focus on... It's more important to win your division, I think, than get the first-round bye in the NFL. We'd like to have both. But if you had asked me, would I rather have a division title or a first-round bye, I would rather say division title without the first-round bye than first-round bye. Yeah.
Well, Dirk, I think I kind of understand your answer. So you are saying that the Lions game is a yes, and the Rams game is not a
What
must
I'm
win.
trying to say is I would like... It's better to get a 3 seed, therefore you don't get a bye, than lose to the Lions and say get a 5 seed, and then you're on the road for your possibly only playoff game. I would... we'd all rather have the number 1 or number 2 seed, but if I had to choose between making sure I get the division locked down versus the wild card, I'd want to make sure I get the division locked down before I worry about getting a number 1 or a number 2 seed.
Okay.
I don't know. So, what are the Lions again right now? They're 5-4.
They're 5-4.
Yeah, 5-4.
With 7 games to go.
And
yes, but they have quite an easy schedule.
Here's the thing: we're at 7-2. I think if we get to 11 wins, we're going to win the division no matter what. I don't see the Lions going 6-1 to finish the year out.
Not seeing their schedule.
But still, I think the Lions are inconsistent enough. I know it's easier, but they're inconsistent enough. I don't think they're going to go 6 wins out of 7.
They do play.
So here's my thing. But here's my thing. I'm going to switch that a little bit, and I'm going to say it's a must win or a must to get 1 out of the next 2. I don't think it matters as much. Certainly the Lions' loss would be a little tougher on the organization, but I don't think if we can win 1 here, I think we'll get to 11 wins. And I think 11 wins, we don't need a tiebreaker anymore. So I'm going to say we need 1 of the next 2, and to me it's not as important who it is. And either one would be an okay loss.
All right, I'm going to go counter yours, and I'm going to say both of them are must-win games for us. I think this could be the turning point in our season. If we win both these games, hear me out, we're 9-2. That's almost a guarantee that you're going to make the playoffs. You go 9-2. Also,
that probably would be a guarantee at that point.
It looks like Detroit is going to be coming on hot if they can continue to perform week in and week out. Though they have been making mistakes. Thankfully, last week for them, they made mistakes against the Cleveland Browns, who are just going to double the amount of mistakes that you make. So that was helpful for them. But now they're playing the Bears, who, aside from a few mistakes against the Packers, beat the Packers last week. And so hopefully the Bears could pull that out in a win against the Lions, and that would make the Lions game not as important. But the Lions game is a must-win. First of all, for team morale. If we lose to the Lions, we have gone 0-4 against them in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
That's just plain embarrassing against a subpar team if we're trying to say that we're good. We need to beat the Lions. It's about time. Also, this Rams game is huge to finally prove that we are contenders. So that's why I'm going to say they're both must-wins.
But Nathan, here's why I'm going to totally disagree with you. I'm very in much disagreement because I think we have a difference on how we see must-win. Must-win to me implies we must win this game to keep us going this season and to have the best chance possible. Or to, not the best chance possible, but to stay afloat. And you're saying, by that those are two are must-win games, if we are 8-3, that we're done for. Things are over.
I'm saying,
and that is so untrue.
I'm saying must-win if we want to make a deep run into the playoffs. These are must-win games.
I still disagree because we still at the end of the year to have the runs. This is kind of reaching obviously the end of the middle of the year, and I'd rather if we lose one of these games and we go on a 3-game winning streak to end the year, it's a way better situation than to win both of these.
I'm
years.
just saying 1 out of these 2, preferably the Detroit game, is a must-win because I think losing 2 straight, and now you have the team morale stuff, and then you have the oh gosh, it's happening again feeling.
Yeah, like I said, 1 out of 2, but we do not need to win the next 2. Obviously, if we win the next 2, we'll be the talk of the NFC. I think if we win the next 2, we may even be talked above the. We'll see. If
They'll
Eagles
just
win
talk
the next
about
2.
the Saints.
They love the freaking Saints. But I don't think we need to win the next two, but you can have your opinion.
All right, regardless to say, we all hope that they win the next two.
Absolutely.
Yes, we do.
And
Yes.
we will root for them. And then now it's time for a little bit of predictions. What is going to be the score and what's going to be your bold prediction? Isaac?
Well, last week my bold prediction was embarrassing. I called an Everson Griffin pick six, which definitely did not happen.
You jinxed it.
So I jinxed it. Here I could go with a safe bold prediction, but I say no. I am going to have a continuous, very bold prediction. I am going to say Adam Thielen goes for 207 yards and gets to 1,000 yards this week for the year.
Holy crap!
That was a huge prediction. Oh my god!
Then, which would be so exciting. I'd be thrilled.
So what's the score then?
Here's my score. And actually, it's going to be a little surprising because it's not as high scoring as you think. But I think Adam Thielen's going to be pretty much our offense. So here's what I'm saying. I think the final score is going to be 24-20. But a little explanation. I think Case Keenum's not going to play super hot because he's going to throw a pick or two. He's going to have a great day with Thielen. But I think he's going to play well enough to not have Bridgewater be subbed in, but we're going to be down 2017, and he's going to take us on a game-winning drive in the fourth quarter to take it.
Wow.
How many bold predictions was that?
Isaac with a very vivid explanation of what he thinks is going to happen.
Yes,
in this game.
I also have a vivid explanation. I think this is going to be kind of an offensive game like last week. You have an offense that looked to be catching fire last week in the Vikings, and you have an offense that is for certain on fire with the Los Angeles Rams. I think it'll be the defenses will show up some, not a ton. So here's my prediction. We're up 28-21 late in the fourth quarter. Rams go on a drive. Jared Goff throws the touchdown pass. But Greg Zuerlein misses the extra point, and the Vikings pull out a 28-27 one-point victory. Also, my bold prediction, by the way, that Greg Zuerlein will miss it. No, that's not my bold prediction. My bold prediction is going to be that Everson Griffin gets 3 sacks.
Oh.
Holy cow! Against the tackle who's been very acclaimed this week.
But Everson's hungry. He had a week off, and he wants that sack streak record.
That's true. He wants to eat, and he wants to get to 13 sacks for sure.
Really quick, does the record still count, do you think?
Yes, it does. I actually read an article in Star Tribune the other day, which, based on NFL rules, the record still counts because he did not play in the last football game.
Well, good for Everson Griffin.
That is very big, and we now have something to root for this week. Okay, time for my turn. I'm going to say that the Vikings pull out a handy one. I think Case Keenum continually still trying to prove himself before my bold prediction next week. He screws it up. He throws for another 4 touchdowns, putting him at 15 touchdowns for the season. And I think that we win this game 42-17, thus shutting down all speculations about the Rams.
So now, is your bold prediction the score? Because that's about as bold as it can get.
That's a pretty bold prediction.
I think we destroy the Rams. I think Sean McVay regrets ever giving up being an offensive coordinator and becoming a head coach. And I think the Rams take a thorough plummet down for the rest of the season, winning very few games. My bold prediction for the game: the defense will have 3 picks and 1 pick six. And the pick six will be done by an unlikely candidate.
Jermaine Brock?
Alexander.
No. I don't know who the unlikely candidate is.
You can't not have the unlikely candidate.
I'm just saying it's not going to be a big name. That's all I'm saying.
Give 2 names. You got to give something.
I think it could be Anthony Harris, or it might be Trey Waynes.
Because here's what happened. Harrison Smith will get the pick six, and he'd be like, well, he's...
You didn't expect that, did you? That was my random guy.
Hey.
But I will point out, last time Nathan said we were going to blow a team out, and we criticized him, we were like, why do you think we're blowing this team out? It was the Packers, and Aaron Rodgers did get hurt, and we did beat them by 13. So
I think what we take from that is Nathan is very good at predicting, except for last week.
And Jared Goff, if he sees Anthony Barr coming at him while he's rolling out, he should get scared that Nathan Schulte, the last time he predicted a blowout, that happened in the game.
Yeah, and again, talks of Aaron Rodgers coming back. I think Anthony Barr pick 6 in that game against Aaron Rodgers. But that's for another day.
Yeah, also Jared Goff is a listener of our podcast, so he knows. He's very aware.
Jared Goff is a listener of our podcast, yes.
He is he's one of our subscribers. Which, by the way, you should subscribe.
Even the opposition listens to our podcast. That's how good it is. Subscribe today, please.
All right, well, that is it for us today. The game will be a great one, without doubt. Hopefully a great one as I predicted. All three of us predicting a Vikings win. All right, so next week, podcast will now be premiering on Tuesday at 9 a.m. instead of Friday at 9 a.m. So you'll be able to listen to it a little bit earlier and maybe listen to it twice before the game. That will be from every week from now on, not just because the game is on Thursday this week. Also, we will be premiering our 5 takeaways from the game series. It will be premiered Monday at 9 a.m., so you can watch for that and watch for all of those good things coming to the Vikings Rant and the Cedarfield Productions page on YouTube.
Yes, please subscribe. We are about to get a lot more content. You're about to get a lot more in-depth Vikings coverage with Nathan, Isaac, and I, and you're going to love it. You're never going to go listen to another Vikings podcast again the first time you listen to ours.
All right, thanks for listening to Vikings Rant this week. This is Nathan Schulte.
I'm Dirk Umbenhauer.
And Isaac Logeman.